Hello, everybody. This is King Harp. This is Harp back again. Again, thank you for subscribing to my channel. Continue to subscribe. We continue in the conversation, continually, ringing the bell, continually bringing good news, continually sharing and awareness. So now, today, I want to speak to the boomers, and I want to talk about a few things concerning our legacy and the uprooting of white supremacy and the uprooting of injustice and replacing it with justice. And one thing we're going to need people to do from the lineage of slave descendant, from the lineage of black people that are slave descendants as a boomer. It's a very peculiar situation. It's very touchy that you have been anchored some type of way, and I don't want you to beat yourselves up because now we got boomers who are now looking at the facts and the origin of our story and seeing that we have a lot of facts. And it does bother you because you've been situated a certain way over your head politically. And basically married to an idea. You have married an ideology. And that comes from something bigger than you. And that bigger that it comes from, even the word bigger belongs to it, and that's called big government, main government, and that's Democrat Party. We all belong to, we did want to grab one faith in politics, and that was the Democrats, most black people. That's fine. That's fine. But we never reciprocated true loyalty from that. And we've been, our intellect and our momentum has been kind of co-opted in terms of what we're giving. We're giving something very tangible and personal to them, and they're misusing it, and that's your vote. So my heart goes out to your baby boomers because I know that a lot of you are pretty shocked about the way things move right now and what's happening. That the fact that we are calling for people to hold their votes because we understand the science is something that we're doing now. And I'll use a analysis. I'll use an example. If you're outside and you go into a gas station or a store, or you're in front of the church's chicken or whatever, and there's a bum or somebody on the corner asking you for money, but you find out that this person is just going to use it to buy drugs. They're not going to get food. So if you give them this money now, you want to give it to them, but you now become an enabler. Now you're a supplier of what's bad. This is what the Democrats have been doing with your vote. They've been giving you the benign and the neglect. They have not been giving you food. They have been taking your bread from your mouth. They have not been giving you bread. They've been giving you an empty tray. No policy, no concern. And in terms of who you are, you're supposed to already been anchored a certain way. This is really overdue, and it's systemic racism. It's systematic, and it's very major, and it's damaging. You haven't been written right constitutional. Your laws and your constitutional rights have not been implemented to you and for you. And this is causing you and your children, which is us, to be trapped in feudalism, where we don't have an escape. We don't have any political incentives. We don't have any capital. We don't have any real way of living here. This system is built for people with capital now. We understand this. This system is built where people live from legacy, not necessarily rich people, but people who exchange where they can live comfortably and have the incentive of choice. So we can't do that if we don't have what we're supposed to have. And for the boomers, you need to understand something. You need to understand. And this is no disrespect because a lot of our parents are boomers. We're the children of boomers. But a lot of boomers understand. Now, I'm X generation. But boomers need to understand no one's trying to embarrass you or harm you. But I know that you guys are very disappointed about Mr. Obama. He was not the man you thought he was. He wasn't the politician that you thought he was. And neither did we. We voted for Barack Obama in droves, and he did nothing for us. He was not us. That's why. He don't share the experience of our legacy. We are an important people, and we're spacing ourselves in that space as a family, as a legacy, as what people have done in the United States, something you can't escape. We can't say that I'm something else. You cannot escape something that you naturally are part of by birthright as a descendant of slavery, being shaped wrong, people over your head doing business off your legacy, off your constitutional value, because the system has not corrected you, the government has not anchored you properly, and your party have not anchored you properly, have given you benign and neglect, then lie to you. And I understand that. I really love my brother Steve Harvey. I like a lot of things he say. He's very encouraging. But one thing I have a problem with is that the fact he's telling people that Kamala Harris is our sister and we're going to vote for our sister, and he's a baby boomer, that we're going to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and they locked up uncountable number of black people into feudalism and in prison and in camp, and made sure that black people are still in camp in the concentration camps of the ghetto and the hood. Those are not communities. Those are concentration camps owned by other people. Nobody else live in a neighborhood that's owned by other people. East Indians own their own neighborhood. Arabs own their own neighborhood in the United States. It's an exchange of business and inheritance. And they're getting it from our tax dollar and from the existence and the morality of government which we made possible through our laws. The Mexicans exist off I Have a Dream as dreamers through DACA, which Obama made. Everybody have a reparation in this society now, which is protected class citizenship. They're protected. And to have protected class citizenship, you have to have exchange of some type of wealth or power sector inside what we call power, what we call safety. See, black people think they're begging because white supremacy or some other group said you were begging because this has a dollar amount to it. That is called safety. Anywhere you go, you got to pay for everything. You have to pay for good health. You have to pay for food. You got to pay for your rent. You got to pay for your car. That is the name of the game. That is the health. That is the safety. It has something to do with dollar. But on top of it, however, there's a lot of spaces which you got to come in. The dollar is the door. The other parts of the reparation package is the rooms of safety. Each department, each sector is called protected class citizenship, where now you exchange in your inheritance of why you were here in the first place in captivity. And that's for a dollar. That was for the wealth. We were the apparatus of wealth against our will as slaves, chattel slaves. And our parents and grandparents never received any compensation due to that, so that they could survive in this place, and we never got any inheritance as descendants who suffered Jim Crow and systemic racism, being locked out of generational wealth, being locked out of a crude and huge disadvantage. This is what this is. So this is the name, and we're educating because, unfortunately, a lot of black people don't understand the language. And a lot of boomers are embarrassed, and we are. And boomers are embarrassed that you have married the ideology of the Democrat Party. You have married the ideology of fanaticism. Now, it's okay to have dreams because you can take dreams and make things come into fruition. But fanaticism tells you you're already there. And that's a form of insanity. You're telling yourself you're already there, and we cannot move on fanaticism. Fanaticism also can tell you you can jump off a bridge and you can fly. But in all actuality, you are going to hit the ground because people can't fly. So you have to understand the ideology and the science that we are presenting to you. You have to understand the substantial argument, the prestigious talking points in terms of correction for the greater good, for ourselves. We're not a different people. We're one people. No matter if we're grassroots, overclass, iconic, heavenly politicians, we cannot escape the blood lineage of descendants of slaves. And they know that. That is the way the government has written you in. You will have a reflection upon you all in that way over your head without your permission. Regardless if you're Jehovah's Witness, regardless if you're Buddha, regardless if you're the Nation of Islam, or a high politician, or some kind of black person that's an iconic, you are a descendant of slavery. And you will feel this in whichever arena you have chose to anchor in. Because every other group is a group, and they are what they are first. They don't mix the ideology. We had to deal with the divide and conquer upon us as a tool against us for someone else to catapult. And this is what's been happening at large with different groups. Now, baby boomers, we have to let you know that the proof is in the pudding. No one's saying that you don't deserve to vote. No one's saying that. But we understand the tangible need to withhold your vote for the greater good of something major and important. You cannot give what's good and holy to a dog. You cannot give that and throw pearls before swine, lest they rend you again. Understanding is a wellspring of life to any man who has it, and all that getting, get an understanding. Also, we have to understand something here with that. We have to understand that you, as a steward in the community, you are to parent and to protect your family. And when you're above family, you're too high. And the fall sometimes can be fatal, as my mother would say. We have to understand what we're doing as stewards in our community and among our people. We drank the breast milk of a feared slave. No one's Holocaust was like ours. And right now we're anchoring and we're settling our differences. And we don't need to live in a place where we have been pushed to be in terms of narrative as a docile people, not being totally on an equal playing field in the exercise of power or proximity to power. That's not what it has been for us. We've been trapped somewhere politically by policy, by the benign neglect. The policies are there for us, but they have not been implemented for us. They have not been overseen, in which, therefore, we can receive. This is what we're doing. They owe us $20 trillion in reparation packages so that we have deals with banks who enslaved and have made money off of this, and people who still living from the inheritance of slavery over our heads, selling land, making Walmarts, rephasing businesses, getting billions of dollars in stimulus packages because they are now anchored in terms of that origin of power. And we getting $1,200 checks, or maybe $3,000, depends on what kind of business we got, but black people really don't have a power sector, so you're not going to be able to feed in where you haven't been depositing. So you don't exist in this place because of government failure, not really giving you that which you deserve lawfully. This is why I'm talking. Not really giving you that which you deserve and owed to you lawfully. And this has been the Democrat Party. Sir, Mr. Obama never spoke to reparations. As a matter of fact, he denied it. Because he doesn't share our legacy, and he's not us. The baby boomers have a very bad habit of trying to live somewhere where it's not reciprocating any type of loyalty. It's just conversation. They give you some kind of social capital where you're not really getting anything. And at one point, we did have something. When I was 10 years old, I remember black people had actual communities. But the war on drugs came to a docile people that were never corrected. And then it went from there also. Went from Jim Crow and slavery, then got a little something, then the war on drugs, then back down, and so forth, because we were never made whole. We were never made whole. We were never corrected. We were never given what it takes to get inside the amusement park. So we're still on the outside of the gate. While other people standing around with plenty, giving you jobs so that you can get in this park. And you still working for each group, not just white people, other people that are constituents to folks that come here that gain wealth. East Indians own businesses, Arabs, people owning stuff around your community, and that is a feudalism. and you don't have any wealth, owning your apartment buildings, whether you're paying Section 8 or not, those buildings are not owned by black people. They have known what they were doing. You are not to have any property. You are to be an actor, a singer, a dancer, or a football player, a basketball player. That is also subservient in that arena of being a millionaire. You reflect as a slave still from that arena. And a lot of you guys are out there experiencing that. It's not just the grassroots who's actually suffering. It's not just the grassroots. It's not just the lower skilled or the disenfranchised. It's also people who have money who's suffering the element of being a subservient being in terms of that arena you choose, especially politicians. Having to agree with the demise of your own people. That's not something that we're doing right now. We're reshaping that. And we have to be honest about it. You have to speak truth to power. For many years, we have said that the truth shall set you free. Well, the truth shall also make you free. So we have to speak truth to power. We have to understand this. So our blood lineage is way more important than anything there is. When you're above family, you're too high. And we need to understand how to look at our Creator and stop looking at our Creator as a docile being, somebody who's just meek. Jesus was a warrior. Those men Jesus picked, Moses and David and Goliath, those men were great, strong men. Jesus turned over tables and said, my house is not a house. My Father's house is not a house of merchandise. He was angry and he was a man of honor and greatness. We need to understand and reflect that way. The way they've taught us to believe in docile and meekness is the way you would teach a slave to just love. No matter what they do to you, love. This is the way we see our Creator. But also he was a warrior. And he picked warriors to stand for his family. Thank you for joining me.